Howdy comic book fans, I'm ReviewFix.com editor-in-chief Patrick Hickey Jr. and this time out we're going to be reviewing Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, Mike Perkins, and Laura Martin's The Stand American Nightmares. This is a trade version of American Nightmares issues 1 through 5, the entire series. It's continuing the whole stand and graphic novel form, and right off the bat, the things that made the first trade so good make this one equally as enjoyable. The visuals are top notch. They tell a story all by themselves. You don't really need Aguirre-Sacasa's words. They tell a story all by themselves, and it's a beautiful story, yet it's disgusting, it's brutal, it's scary, yet vivid and charming at the same time. King's writing, even though it's kind of taken a toll over the years, has always maintained a richness and an ability to captivate. And basically what Aguirre-Sacasa does is he takes the best of Stephen King and channels it and tweaks it and pushes it and pulls it and puts it in graphic novel form. It's kind of sad that this guy gets to put his name on this book when he is essentially just moving words around and making the pictures come alive a little bit more. But at the same time, it's an art. And the guy has written, he's a TV writer for the most part, Aguirre-Sacasa. He's written things like Big Love, which is a great show if you've never watched it before. And I think just the art of him doing this by himself and trying to keep the Stephen King motif alive and well, that's an art. So if his name had to be on the book, it's for that reason. It's just a continuing the story from Captain Trips. If you didn't read Captain Trips, you're going to kind of be a little bit behind, so I suggest that you read the first couple of issues of the series to really get a grip on what's going on here. Essentially, the world is coming to an end almost. Over 99% of the population have died from this disease called Captain Trips, and there's a battle being waged between good and evil, and we're still seeing the beginning of this battle. We're seeing the battle lines are beginning to be drawn, and it's such a fun read, yet it just channels all of these different human emotions. It's extremely deep, it's poignant, but it's ruthless at the same time, just like real life. So if you're a fan of the book, which is a humongous endeavor to read, you'll fall in love with this trade just because you can kind of jump in and you know what's going to happen, but you still want to see how Marvel decides to put their little spin on it. And ironically, they don't really put a spin on it at all. It's pretty literal. It's pretty much word for word without being word for word, if that makes sense. So the thing I like about Aguirre-Sacasa's writing so much is he's not a Brian Michael Bendis type where he relies heavy on dialogue. He's letting Perkins and Martin do their thing with the visuals, and he's merely along for the ride, and he does a great job of just supporting them throughout the process. So if you've read the novel before, you'll love this for that. And you'll love it just because you can look through these pages and you don't have to read through the entire novel again, which I've said before is, in fact, an endeavor. So with that being said, Stephen King's The Stand, American Nightmares by Marvel is rock solid, and it deserves a place in your comic book library.